This is English Literature Wave, and I am Professor L.B.Gayakawad talking on culturally transmission as language property. Lecture 13. Culturally transmission. Transmission means the thing is transferred. That is called the transmission. Means the thing, the story goes from one person to the second person. That is called transmission. And the story changes from one person to the second person culturally, means on the basis of the culture or with the help of the culture. So this topic is culturally transmission as a language property. So language is there, and this language has the property, and this property is the property of culture, and it is called the property of culture transmission or culturally transmission as the language property. So here, how this language shows us culturally transmission, we will see now with the help of these points or with the help of these sentences. Language helps man. It is very easy to say that language is such a medium or such a vehicle in the hands of man that man can use it for his everyday business, for his everyday working or daily working. He can use this language, and that's why language helps man. Language helps man means language takes help of the language to transmit his culture. To transmit his culture, it means to give his culture to the second man. Means one person gives his culture to the second person, and that's why we have said that to transmit his culture as per code of conduct. As per code of conduct means as per the rules and regulations of the culture or as per the rules of the language. Because language is there, so there is the code of conduct, and that's why the code of conduct is used by the language, and this language uses the code of conduct, and that's why culture has come there. Because culture is second and the language is first. So here we will see again that language helps man to transmit his cultures as per the code of conduct. Means there is the code of conduct, and as per this code of conduct, the man changes his culture with other man, and that's why it is said that language helps man to transmit his cultures as per the code of conduct. As man is social, so here is the explanation that how is this language transmitted, or why does man transmit his language? Because man is a social animal. Social animal means man wants to live in the social group. Means without social group or without man's existence, man cannot live. So as man is social, because man is social, and that's why this man transfers, or this man transmits his culture from one man to the second man, and so it is said that as a man, because man is social and wants to live in social group. Because here the explanation is that every person is social, and that's why he wants to live in social group. It means that man lives in the social group, man lives in the society, and that's why man is social, and man is social That's why there is the culture with man, and culture is there with the man, and that's why this language helps man to transmit his culture as per the code of conduct. The next, he can't live with man without the language. It means that this person cannot live with man without the language, because this language is very much useful vehicle to this person, and that's why this person or this man cannot live without the language, because this language is used by this man to deal his everyday businesses, everyday activities, and that's why this person or this he means this man cannot live with man. It means that man cannot live with man without the language. It means that language is the integral part of man's life, and that's why this man cannot live with man without the language. Thus, the language becomes man's social foundation on which he lives and dies. What is the explanation? This person is such a man that the language becomes man's social foundation. Means man's social foundation is language. Social foundation, it means that culturally transmission, because there is the culture, that's why this language is the social foundation. Social foundation means it is the foundation of society. A foundation of society, it means that without language man cannot prepare his groups, man cannot prepare his society, or the society cannot live without the language, and that's why here is the social foundation. So we have said here that the language becomes man's social foundation. Means this language is man's social foundation. Social foundation means this is the language, this is the stage, or this is the particular life of man on which or with the help of this language he lives. Means man lives with only because of the language. Man lives only because of the language, and then man dies with the language. It is the explanation is that this language is the social foundation, because man lives with language and dies with language, and that's why it is called the social foundation. Without language, man cannot have life's importance. Without language means if there is no language, then man cannot have life's importance, because we have seen that there are many holy books, there are many classical books, there are many modern books, or there is the literature. In the literature there is only the language, and with the help of this language this man has established his life, and that's why here is the explanation that without language man cannot have life's importance. Means man's life's importance is there only because of this language, and that's why it is said that without language man cannot have life's importance. As the language transmits, it means that the language transmits, means the language changes, the language sends the culture from one person to the second person, and the language changes the culture, and that's why it is said that as the language transmits cultures. How transmits? From man's generation to generation, because we have seen that there are many generations of man, and this language has sent the culture from one generation to the second generation. And that's why it is said that the language transmits cultures from man's generation to generation. And man's generation to generations have come to man only because of this language. Means this language has helped man very carefully, and that's why here is the generation and generation of man to start man's life as the culturally transmission. So here we have seen that without language man cannot have life's importance, as the language transmits cultures from man's generation to generation. While doing business socially, it is said that while doing business socially means when man does his business socially. Socially means when man does his business with the group, with people, with society, with country. It is said that while doing business socially, man uses the conventional signals. Remember, man uses the conventional signals. Now, man uses the conventional signals means there are some conventional signals. It means there are some traditional signals. It means there are some prehistoric signals. It means that there are some signals which have come with man from the birth of man. And that's why they are called the conventional or old signals. So man uses the conventional signals called, and called means what? We can say them, or they are called as words. Means words are the conventional signals. Phrases are the conventional signals. Sounds are the conventional signals. Proverbs are the conventional signals. And sentences are the conventional signals. So here man uses the conventional signals called words, phrases, sounds, proverbs and sentences to release his feelings. It means that with the help of these conventional signals, means with the help of these words, with the help of these phrases, with the help of these sounds, proverbs and sentences, this man releases means this man lives, this man sends, this man transmits, this man transfers. What he transfers? He transfers his feelings, he transfers his desires. Means what is there in his mind, means what is there in his mind is sent by this man with the help of this language. It means with the help of these conventional signals. It means with the help of these words, phrases, sounds, proverbs and sentences. And that's why here we have said that while doing business socially, man uses the conventional signals called words, phrases, sounds, proverbs and sentences to release his feelings and desires. Thus, the language is the property socially. And so, with the help of these points, or with the help of these proofs, or with the help of this information, or on the basis of this information, we can say that, we can prove that thus the language is the property socially. So we can say that this language is the language which is called the social language, and it is the social property of the language. Language forms social relations. Remember, there is the language, and only this language forms social relations of man with man. It means that the social relations of man with man, it means that man comes with man, man makes group with man, or there are the groups of persons with each other only because of this language. and say so language forms social relations of man with man. So here again he forms his social relations with friends, then he forms his social relations with his neighbors, then he forms his social relations with his citizens. Citizens means there are the persons with him, that is called citizens who live in the society, they are citizens. And so he forms his relations with these people, and that's why language forms the social relations. With the culture transmission, again there is the sort of culture transmission, means it means that this man um, transmits his culture with the second man. One friend transmits his culture with second friend. Neighbor transmits his culture with the second neighbor, and citizens transmit the culture with other citizens, and that's why here language forms social relations of man with man, friends, neighbors, and citizens with the culture transmission. So cultural transmission means the culture from one culture to the second culture, there is the relation, and that's why we can say that it is the culturally transmission. Thus, man develops his cultural context. In this way, this man develops means this man maintains, develops means this man keeps, this man follows, or this man means this man does what he does his cultural context, means thus man does, develops, a man uses his cultural context with this language. Because of language only, this man has his cultural context. The language thus has built man's society through this cultural transmission. And here is the explanation that the language thus means what? In this way, this language has built. Has built means this language has given. Has built means this language has owned. Uh, this language has built means this language has provided man's society. Man's society means the society of man, means the social group, man's social group, through this cultural transmission, means with the help of this cultural transmission. Thus, the child put in the American culture will learn the American culture, though is Indian by birth and culture. The explanation is that if the boy is Indian and we put that boy in the group of American culture, then that boy easily will learn the culture of American people, because this boy is God gifted, and this boy has the language, or this boy knows the language. So with the help of the language, this man will learn the culture of American people, and this is also the very great proof to know that the language is cultural transmission, or culturally transmission is done by the language. And so here we will go ahead. Man brings with him the foreign culture. Now remember, when a man goes to America, when man goes to London, or suppose anywhere, if man goes, what he does, this man brings with him the foreign culture. How? Traveling as per Lord Bacon. Lord Bacon is the essayist, or was the essayist. In his essays, he has suggested that man brings with him the foreign culture, traveling as per Lord Bacon, means as per Bacon. Means man, when goes to foreign country, he he, with the help of his language, brings some culture from the foreign country. It means that he brings the culture of the foreign country and he uses that culture in his own country. In this way, this is also called the culturally transmission. So this is the explanation which is given by Lord Bacon, the essayist. Thus, the culture transmits from country to country. Also, as per the basis of this Lord Bacon, we can say that the culture transmits from country to country also. Then this property is not there with animals as they learn with heredity. The next explanation is that this culturally transmission property is not with animals because they learn with heredity. They learn with heredity means what? There are the animals. For example, dog is there. So if the dog is there, the younger dog will also do the same things. Means the younger dog only will bark. The younger dog will not learn the language, and that's why here it is said that the heredity is there in the animals. Means if one dog is there, the second dog will do the same thing. Means the first dog, if the father was barking, the younger dog also will bark, and so the dogs will not go into grammar school, or the dogs will not have, or they have not the schools and colleges. Means they have not the language, and that's why it is the explanation here that this property is not there with animals as they learn with heredity. This is very clear. But man easily learns this property with his talents received. What is the explanation here? With his talents received means this man has got the talent from God or from nature, and that's why with the help of this talents received, or with the help of this God gift received from man, from God, this man easily learns this property. This property means the cultural transmission. Man learns the ritual culture oblique language visiting the rituals. Now, what is the explanation? Man learns the ritual culture or ritual language visiting the rituals. It means that in our society we celebrate some rituals. Means we celebrate some, suppose some marriages, or we celebrate some festivals, suppose Diwali festival, suppose marriage. So when we celebrate such ritual culture, such ritual cultures, or when we celebrate some ritual functions, then we celebrate the ritual functions with the help of the ritual culture, and through these festivals we learn the ritual culture. Man learns the ritual culture or ritual language visiting the rituals, and that's why by going to attend the functions or festivals, we learn the ritual culture, and this is also called the culturally transmission. Thus the language has established human relationship with the transmission. Means with the help of this transmission, or on the basis of this transmission, this man has established human relationship with each other. That is the clear thing. Language is there. It means that there is the language. Language is there with man. So language is there. So culture is there with man. It is very easy to say that language is there. means language is there, that's why there is the culture. If language was not there, there was no culture. So it is very clear that language is there, so culture is there with man. The writers have built the bridge of literature through the language, and man has learnt much moral values from the classical and modern literature. It means that the writers have built the bridge of literature, means there are many writers who have built the bridge of literature, and through the language and man through the language, this man has learned much moral values from the classical and modern literature. It means that this man has given us the literature, classical as well as modern, and through this literature also man has got the culture. Thus, on the support of the above explanation, it is true that man lives with language, and the language does culturally transmission. So in this way, we have proved here that this language has given man the culture, and this is called the language property as the culturally transmission. So here we have finished today's topic. We will see the next topic in the next lecture. Thank you very much.